Hello, welcome back to 911 Scales. Today we are talking about an extremely rare and very historically significant Porsche out of my model car collection. This year is the original 911R out of the 2016 Porscheplatz Series, which was exclusively sold by the Porsche Museum in Stuttgart. And I'm so glad that you've suggested this model to be reviewed, because about this one there's a lot to talk about. For you who's tuned in for the very first time, thank you very much for checking out my content. My name is Michael, and here at 911 Scales we explore the Porsche model car world. If you are interested in stuff like this and like to spread this passion, make sure to hit the subscribe button down here below. To understand the models, we will also discuss the real cars, and then we'll get out my special macro lens and get up close to the model in 4K resolution. And then in the end, we will summarize by rating the model in price, quality, details, rarity and significance. So this 911R, why is it so special? It just looks like any other old 911. And that is the case not only because it is the reason the new 911R of the 991.1 generation exists. No, this is actually the very first 911 race car ever made. It's not the very first 911 which was raced. For that they took just a normal street car, but that will be a topic of another review in the future. No, this here is a bespoke 911, and this is a heavily modified one, which was made by Porsche as the 911R. In 1967 they decided to modify the 911 heavily to go racing. For that they lightened the car significantly. The doors, bonnet, fenders are made out of plastic, and the rear window, for example, is made out of plexiglass, only 2 mm thick. A method that still the newest GT3 RS is using to shave off its weight. And for the very first time, Porsche used some lightweight aluminium wheels from a company called Fuchs. And also the 2-liter engine of the car was completely revised, now being a full race car engine revving to 8,000 RPM. And developing 210 horsepower. And if you're thinking that's not a lot of power, trust me, for that time it was a huge amount of power. And the weight saving of the car was so significant, it only weighed 820 kilograms, which resulted in a top speed of 230 kilometers an hour. And as you can guess, this racer proved quite successful. One record was set at Monza in Italy, where the 911R set an average speed record of 208.3 kilometers over an incredible distance of 25,000 kilometers. And even more incredible than that is the low production number of this car. Porsche only made 23 cars in total. Its 143 scale model car twin seems to resemble the 1969 version of the car, which won the Tour de France and Tour de Corse, as it is indicated here on the back of the packaging. The model is made by Spark and limited to only 400 pieces, which makes it incredibly rare, but there are also many non-original Porsche model car versions of it out there. But this here, I think, is the only original Porsche model car version of it, and it is extremely hard to get nowadays. Like the 918 Spider I already reviewed, link to that is down in the description below. That one was also out of the 2016 Porscheplatz Series, and these models were exclusively sold by the Porsche Museum in Stuttgart and cost only 42 euros new. And with that, you know why this model is so special. So let's grab the camera, grab the macro lens and get up close to it. Well, let's start our walk around at the front, where you can see many lovely details which are specific to this very 911R. Since these cars were all a bit different depending on the races in which they participated. Here this car has been given a lot of extra lights. 2 coming out here and 2 are situated on the bonnet. And the bonnet is also strapped down with this strap down hook here. And it also houses the fuel filler cap up here and the number plate here. All nicely done by Spark, and so are the windshield washers here and the wipers. Something else you can spot is that this car is only fitted with one side view mirror, which is very common from that era. Then on the passenger side you can see the lovely and now legendary Fuchs wheels, a little Dunlop logo here, and this Porsche decal, which is even 50 years later still very popular. Also we can spot this filler here which is called the Ölklappe. In English it is called the oil filler, something Porsche later also did on their street cars, which was obviously a very bad idea since many people put fuel into it. And compared to many even bigger Spark models, they thought of the door gap here in this pillar, which is a very nice detail, unfortunately missing on many other models. The rear looks also cool. I especially like the rear lights because these are special. These were changed to smaller rear lights. You can actually see how big the original rear lights are, and the 911R has only these two small rear lights. I guess this is where Magnus Morker got his inspiration for his outlaw Porsches. Then we have a simple mesh to cover the engine. We have a 911R logo here and a big Porsche logo here, the number plate of the car, and two straps that hold down the engine lid. Then furthermore we have a lovely double piped exhaust, and Spark even thought about adding the air vents up top here in the roof. All very nicely done, and it looks very good. Since this is a race car, the interior has not many details to enjoy. The rear seats were removed and the car got two very small bucket seats with no headrest and no seat belts. That would be ridiculous with today's safety regulations. The good old and very deadly days of racing. The dashboard and steering wheel look alright and look good. You can clearly see the 5 instruments, and in the footwell of the passenger they also added a fire extinguisher, which is a nice detail. Otherwise the interior of this race car has not many of them, which is alright. Then finally the box. Here you can see we have a big 911R logo in the background, a smaller one in the front, and this one Januar, which is German for January, which indicate that this is the very first, the January model of the 2016 Porscheplatz Series, as it says here on the side of the packaging. And then in the rear we have a picture of a 911R. Maybe it is this car, but the number plate is a bit different. This here is a 2403, while the model is the 2401, as you can see it here. And then there's this text which translates to English to 911R at its press release of the Porsche racing cars for the season of the 1969 at the Hockenheimring. And the Porsche 911R wins the 1969, the two rallies, the Tour de France and Tour de Corse. A lovely 911, isn't it? And the fact that this is the R makes it even greater. Also to you who's interested in the new one and likes this one more, on many press pictures there was also the old 911R present, as it is here in this curves book behind me, and this model very closely resembles that car. And with that, let's rate this rarity of a model in our scores. Price. This is one of the very best Porscheplatz Series model cars ever made, and expect to pay for it. You have to pay between 60 and 70 euros, giving it a 6 out of 10. Quality is good and it gets, like most models, therefore a 7 out of 10. Details are all very nicely done by Spark, but the 911R does not have many, giving it also a 7 out of 10. Rarity is extremely high with the only 400 pieces made, and is so incredibly hard to get one of those models nowadays, giving it a 9 out of 10. Significance is also extremely high. The very first 911 race car, and it started so many trends as I have showed you, giving it also a 9 out of 10. Which means that this 911R out of the 2016 Porscheplatz Series gets a 38 out of 50 and puts it here on our scoreboard. And with that, it's get the very first place on our scoreboard. I would bet you would not have seen this coming when you started this video, right? And if you like to see the detailed scoreboard, make sure to hit the Google link down in the description below. So what do you think of this old Porsche legend? For me, it's a definite keeper and I will never sell that. And before I'm sending you to my high resolution pictures at the end of this video, I would like to say thank you very much for tuning in again, watching the video until the very end. If you liked it, please make sure to hit that like button down below. And if you're not already a subscriber, also make sure to hit the subscribe button down below to spread the passion for Porsche model cars. And as always, feel free to get in touch with me on Instagram at 911 Scales. And that's it for now. Tune in next time when I explore the Porsche world in 911 Scales. Thank you very much. Allah, ciao.